Come on up. All right, what's your name?
My name is Dionne Nicole.
Okay, where are you from?
I'm from the South.
Okay.
I've lived in so many cities in the South.
So you're just from the South. You're just going to go with that.
It makes it easier.
All right, tell me about your podcast.
Yeah, the name of my podcast is Everything is Optional because I believe that everything is actually optional and people need to be intentional about what they're choosing to opt into and not just what they were given as the prescribed thing about how to do life. And I also really support neurodiversity because I am a neurodiverse person. I have ADHD. I'm a productivity and wellness coach. And so all the things that I share on the podcast, and it's only 5 minutes because we ain't got time for that.
Oh, yeah, keep going.
You only got 5 minutes. No, like the podcast episodes are only 5 minutes.
Oh, the episodes.
Yeah, the episodes are only 5 minutes. So it's because I want to just give people something that they can bounce off of and they can think for themselves. That's the whole point, is I want people to think. But yeah, it's been fun so far.
Yeah, so in addition to having this software platform, PodTask, that I'm here telling people about, I'm also a podcast host and a producer of another one. My podcast, and I'm glad you talked about neurodiversity because something important to me as well. And I talk about mental health, trying to destigmatize it, like mainly around kind of like the business and professional setting. I hire people. Like, this isn't the only thing I do. I'm also the CEO of a consulting agency, and I've had, all sorts of people that come through. And, I think as business leaders, we really need to open ourselves up to like getting away from this idea that people need to kind of, this idea of conformity, where you're not, allowing people to kind of be themselves, bring in their own life experiences, their own kind of, whatever.
We're not robots, right?
Yeah, we're all different people.
Yeah, the expectation.
So for your podcast, like, how long have you been doing it for?
I've been doing it since January 1st, 2023.
Okay, so you're
Baby brand new.
How long were you planning your podcast?
I was planning my podcast since about probably October.
And did you use a coach to launch, or?
I didn't use a coach. I had done one podcast previously, and back in 2020, when the pandemic happened, I was like, I am going to figure out how to do podcasting. And so it just kind of was a thing that I did, and I did it daily, which was insane. But I learned a lot very quickly because you have to like produce and you have to think quickly. And again, it was a very small podcast, only was like 5 minute long. But I learned a lot in that process. Then I got burnt out. And so I realized that you actually kind of need a plan when you're doing a podcast. You can't just like throw it up there and not have a plan for it if you want it to actually be something. So this time I thought a little bit more intentionally about who my potential audience could be, how could I have it be something that I can be still doing in 20 years instead of that like immediate need. And so my friend, she's an amazing podcast coach, and so she was helping me a little bit and helping me think through things. So I did have a little bit of help, but it still took me a lot of gearing up until I was able to record. And even now I'm still just like, what am I doing? But I faithfully record and upload a podcast every Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, for me with mine, and just, in business and life in general, this idea that you kind of have to have everything figured out before you go into something, or, something I've dealt with also is imposter syndrome, where, you just kind of have this feeling that you're not exactly the expert that people think that you are, but, it's a bunch of BS. Like, really do anything that, inspires you, that motivates you if you love doing it.
You are the expert of you. So there can be no one that can take away your life experiences or take away their perspective on things. So I think that's where people get it mixed up, where they're basically,
I couldn't agree more.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, so what would success for your podcast look like? What's your measurement of success? What are you hoping your podcast is going to look like in like a year from now?
Yeah, in a year I'm hoping that I have 1 million downloads. And not because I just want 1 million downloads, but because I want my message to be reaching out that far. Like, I really do want to change the hearts and minds of women who feel like they are locked into these roles and these, everything that's been just handed down to them. I want people to start living lives that they are choosing actively to opt into, because I feel like that's how the world is going to change, when there's a ripple of people activating themselves in a high power way. So that's my goal and my hope, and I hope that I'm able to, just really reach a lot of women. But then I also hope that I get to build my coaching practice. So yeah.
I love it. Well, what's your coaching practice? Let's talk about that for a second.
So I do productivity and wellness coaching for people who are neurodiverse, ADHD, and so with that, it's how do you find a system? How do you find a way to operate where you are being your best self with the limitations that are given to you? And how do you find those systems and tools that have to be customized? Because one size does not fit all, and a lot of people are late diagnosis like I was. They don't have a lot of self-compassion. They don't have a lot of self-care practices established. They were overcompensating for a very long time. And so a lot of it is about rebuilding what it looks like to be a productive person, whatever that means, so yeah.
Okay, I totally can relate to that. And, I think, especially with ADHD, I had a guest that I interviewed on one of my, episodes, and I don't, it's not something that I've had to deal with personally, but I mean, if you look, around the way that people are kind of treated, medication and stuff like that, it's a really, it's something that I think the real kind of unfortunate thing, and I'm glad that you're doing the work that you're doing, because when it comes to like the education system, it kind of is a one size fits all, and people that don't fit that box, like, they're kind of, there's just been this notion that they have to be treated for the fact that they're not fitting in the box like everybody else fits in. But, the way that I've kind of looked at it is like, and you probably as well, I think it probably, would you say it's fair to say that that's your superpower?
I believe that it is a superpower in the sense that it allows me to be me, but I think people misuse that terminology. Like, I think there are some limitations that we have in the world that we have. So I want to always acknowledge that, and just saying the world is not made for most people to thrive. No one should be working a 9-to-5 job. No one should be doing a lot of things that we're doing. No one should be we shouldn't have a light that we're able to be up at 3 a.m. in the morning, like the sun is down, we should be sleeping. So I think there's a lot of things that are hard for people to have to combat, but I also feel as though you feeling like it's a superpower is going to be more helpful for you feeling like the way that you're approaching things is amazing and great and allows you to thrive.
Love it, yeah, because it's like mindset, right?
Yeah,
it's like looking at, everybody is presented, in my opinion, with a set of like obstacles that are put in front of you for a reason, right? And we're meant to like problem solve and overcome and learn and grow from these things. So it's been fantastic to speak with you today. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.